So name's Frank Davis with House of Canine, located in Porter, Oklahoma. I've had dogs all my life. I started off when I was 14 years old. I had two Doberman Pinschers of Bonnie and Clyde, so this really started the journey. But of course, through my adult life, work was the main focus, and until I got into my 50s or 40s, late 40s, and we took an interest in the Belgian Malinois, started researching, and finally got us a Belgian Malinois named Maximus Samuel, and he's really the one that started this whole journey for us.
What was it about the Belgian Malinois that intrigued you?
You know, it was really multiple things. Looks, obviously, were, you know, this is just a beautiful animal. And then it is, you know, they're just brilliant. Everything you look at, you know, they're, when you start researching these dogs, they're so easy to train. There's a lot of misinformation out there about, you know, that, hey, nobody should own, you know, if you don't have experience, you shouldn't own one, you know. But I will say this, that everybody that does have one was a first-time Malinois owner at some point. So, you know, I encourage people not to listen to that noise. When people say, hey, don't get one, you will never succeed with them. They're too much dog, et cetera, et cetera. I will say that they are a lot of dog, but if you do your research and you make the conscious decision that you're ready to take it on, then do it. Because they will change your life. They're amazing animals. They're great family dog. A lot of people say they're not family dogs. You know, and it does really have to do with the temperament. So if you're ever looking at the Belgian Malinois, you know, make sure that you get a breeder that understands why they're breeding animals, the two animals, and what temperament that they're going to get, and that the breeder understands which puppy needs to go where. I think that's really the biggest one. You know, if you look online and somebody says, okay, I'm thinking about getting a Belgian Malinois, what should I be looking at? And just about every post, you know, you'll see these people saying, well, first they'll ask a whole lot of questions from the person that posted, you know, what are you going to do with the dog? Why are you getting the Belgian Malinois, et cetera, et cetera. And these are two strangers talking to each other. And in my opinion, that person that asked all those questions has no right to ask those questions. You know, the person in the post asked, hey, I'm thinking about getting a Belgian Malinois. What should I be looking for, et cetera? And I think the answer would be a good breeder, temperament, and an understanding of the breed, not why are you getting the dog? Why are you, you know, choosing, et cetera. Those, for me, those are the biggest issues. I think that anybody that's active should certainly be looking at the Belgian Malinois. As far as any other myths, et cetera, I think that's really the biggest one. I don't know that there's any others. So they're very loyal animals. They're easy to teach for everybody in the whole family, yet it does take a qualified trainer to not only help train the dog, but also, most importantly, train the human. And this is really where many people fail, is getting the training for the human understanding how to communicate with the dog, what the dog needs, and et cetera. So I encourage people that are interested in the dog in the Belgian Malinois, or any dog really, to, you know, get the proper training from a qualified person. I find a real big problem with board and train. And the reason I do on the large part, because most board and trains, number one, they take a young dog, very young dog, and as soon as they take it in, they slap an e-collar on that dog, and they get it to do certain things. Yes, the dog's going to be very obedient, any dog or person would under such circumstances. But what happens is, or what doesn't happen is, the human doesn't learn anything. And education is key with these dogs. You just got to you've got to learn as a human how to communicate with the dog, and always throughout the life of the dog, to be working with the dog. With board and train, you might, you get your dog back after a month, 5 weeks, or whatever it is. They give you a short introduction, and most often the dog is back into board and train within 3 to 6 months, or they're being put up for adoption.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a real problem with that. So I would say, for the Belgian Malinois, any working dog, get the proper training for the human side, understand the dog and what it's going to take to excel with that dog. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work, no doubt. It's a lot of work. So if you're a lazy person and you think you're going to get a beautiful Belgian Malinois and stick it in the backyard, please don't. Through time, it just evolved into, a dog that was used for protection and detection, and just so many different things. Belgian Malinois is so versatile, because its genetic makeup is pretty awesome. They're great search and rescue dogs. They're great agility dogs. They excel in dock diving. Of course, in protection, they're just great dogs. And military and police departments just love this dog because the ease of the learning curve for the dog, and the eagerness for the dog to please and just jump right into situations. Now, understand this isn't true for every single Belgian Malinois, because just like every breed, every dog or every puppy out of every litter is different. Mm-hmm. As a breeder, you might get one, maybe two, if you're lucky, canines with a temperament that's going to be good for as a canine officer. You're going to get a few sport dogs, and then you always have a pet in there that's just kind of a mellow dog. And this is true with just about every litter that I've ever had, anyway. Mm-hmm. So when I'm looking at the pups, let me just say, if I'm going to keep one of my own pups, then I know the history of the sire and the dam, which is super, super important. Mm-hmm. But I'm looking for a really high drive dog, probably out of the litter, the one with the most prey drive and the highest drive, and is what I'm looking for. Now, if I'm going to select a dog from another breeder, for whatever reason it might be, it just kind of depends on what the dog is being used for. But for me, again, it would be the drive in the dog and the level-headedness of the dog. But I'm also looking for, if I go to a breeder and I want to see the sire and the dam, I want to interact with those dogs. I also want to know that a lot of health testing has been done on those dogs. I want to know when they were first bred. If they're bred before the age of 2 years old, I'm not interested in that breeder. I want to know that the hips and elbows are OFA certified, eyes are certified, and that DNA has been done on those dogs. And I'd like to look at those DNA test results so I can see what I might be looking at in the future as on a lot of different levels. So DNA tells you a lot, but having the hips and elbows done is key, along with any other OFA certifications you can get out of a breeder, which is very rare, by the way. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get. I search endlessly for good breeders that do that, and I just don't find them. Mm-hmm. So we used to be involved in shoots, and two of the dogs both had, were Grace and Max were both in the shoots, and we really did well in there. I do have to say that I'm not real big on tracking, so that was a problematic for us. But I love the shoots, and I love the camaraderie in the shoots, and So agility was always a favorite of mine. I love the dog diving. So now for us, it's just they're family protection dogs right now, and breeding dogs. So our breeding program it's small. It is small. We have one dog just had puppies, and she's being retired this year. And then next year we'll have two females that will have pups next year, along with one sire, and then after that we'll retire. We probably won't do any more. So our pups are in pretty big demand. We're happy about that. We have a good name behind us. But as far as activity goes now, they're our family dogs. We exercise them daily. We challenge them all the time. We take them everywhere we go. Depending, we might take one day and another day. But they love the water. They love the river. They love their balls. They love their agility. So all of that. So a lot of people that all they'll do is import dogs. And it makes no sense to me, because there's a lot of Malinois in the United States. But again, you've got to have a good conscious breeder. And this might be a reason to import a dog, because if you know of a great breeder with a good breeding line overseas, then you might want to bring that dog in. Personally, I believe you should seek them out in the United States if you're in the United States. Because they're here. There's some great breeders here in the United States. So I would encourage people to do that. Just like anything else, such as police canine, you choose a dog out of whatever breeding line it is because you believe it's right for you. And, you either succeed or fail. But most of the time, the failure comes from the handler and the training that they do with the dog. At one point I made a comment on a post. This woman, she was in a in world championship for the USA, and I says I admire you and your dog, and she kind of commented back. She says the reason that you admire it is because admire is the wrong word. Just so you know, I'm trying to think of the right word. But she came back and she says, the reason that you admire, again, the wrong word, but is because you never work your dog. That's probably the biggest lesson I ever learned. Her name's Sandra Rollison, by the way. Fantastic trainer, all types of breeds, etc. And I'll never forget, that life lesson right there is, work your dog. Because your dog, you can get these dogs, just about to do anything you want them to do. You just have to work them. So I don't know that you can say that, hey, this line over here that was KNPV, they're KNPV dogs. Okay. So they have a name to them, right? That doesn't mean that they're all inclusive. That's all those litter mates are good for, right? Because again, out of every litter, there's different temperaments and for every puppy, right? So I kind of shy away from somebody that says, "Oh, this is a KNPV dog." That's fantastic. That means that somebody worked their butt off to make that KNPV dog. So it's kudos to the dog, it's kudos to the handler. It's not always the dog. It takes a handler to make a great dog. It's like they say there's a great woman behind every great man, or whatever that saying is. It's true of the dog as well. So I would say to people, don't judge that dog solely on that title. You have to look at the handler as well. It's just like, a lot of people in the Belgian Malinois, German Shepherd world, they don't want you to have a Belgian Malinois unless you're going to use it in sport, which I find that totally wrong. They should never make that opinion, but they do. And they will judge you because of that. But here's a fact, is number one, it's hard to get into a Schutzhund club. There isn't enough of them, number one, right? And then it takes a high quality leader in that club to make a great club, and it takes a lot of involvement. The club atmosphere is awesome. I mean, you get 10 people in a club or more, and everybody has some knowledge, so you learn off of every one of those people. So the club atmosphere is great. But I will say again, you can't judge a dog because of titles. I don't believe it's right to do that. You can say, okay, this guy is a level 3, shoots an IPO 3, right? That means the dog and the handler kick butt. It's a team, right? The same thing with KNPV or PSA or even agility. That's just my opinion. I think, there are some Malinois, just like German Shepherds or Dalmatians or anything else. There's in that litter, there's pets, there's working dogs, and then there's, possible canine or military dogs in there. So they're ball-driven, bike riding, swimming. Have some friends of mine have one of my Malinois. It's a family dog. They got 2 young children. And this Malinois, they have an in-ground pool with a fence around it. And that fence means nothing to that dog because when it wants to go swimming, it goes swimming. So it's pretty fantastic. But hiking, the biking, just being very active, getting into, different sports, getting into AKC. AKC is pretty awesome because they're so diverse, including dock diving and agility and the conformation and all of that. So I really encourage people to look at AKC and get involved with that. It's pretty fantastic. I find it amusing, like you have some people that will say, well, I don't need AKC. What I'm looking for is the dog. Okay. One reason they don't need AKC is because they don't have it. AKC is a standard. Okay. And I love the AKC because it is a standard and it has a huge history behind it. And the pedigrees, looking at pedigrees and those things. Confirmation is really awesome because it shows how perfect or imperfect the dog might be. Then you have the agility and everything else that goes along with it. So, for those that do not care for the AKC, that's their right. Then okay, I get that. But, what are you actually doing there? What are they doing with their dog? Maybe Schutzhund, maybe PSA, which is all good. I mean, I'm not gonna discourage anybody from any dog. I get a lot of people that come for training, and they have dogs that are backyard dogs. I never say anything. I only give good, positive feedback for those dogs because in their own right, they have their own abilities, right? And I just try to help the owners train to the best of their abilities with those dogs, can excel with those dogs. I think, again, bigger's not better. Let me just say that. And you get some people that have these big 85, 90-pound dogs. This is not better. They have a shorter lifespan. But, kind of in the Malinois realm, I think smaller is better, even in the males. So, I like the standard that I have right now with my dogs. My males are just over 70 pounds. My females are right at 60 pounds. So I like those. But, I have a friend of mine that has a male Malinois he's about 3 years old. That dog's 55 pounds, and that he's an amazing agility dog, and that dog has protected the handler very well. I mean, there was a German Shepherd after them one time. This German Shepherd's about 100 pounds, and it come out of an unlocked door out of a house. It was going for a walk, and this 55-pound Malinois took down that 100-pound German Shepherd, got him right in the neck, and drug him down the street. Mm-hmm. So, it's the quickness of the smaller dogs that will overpower the bigger, heftier dogs. Mm-hmm. So, again, I think it's, so I like the smaller dogs. They're just quicker to react and more agility. They're lighter, they can jump higher, et cetera, et cetera. So bigger is not better in this situation, I don't think. So the Dobermans, I know, really have been kind of like the German Shepherd. You can still get some great German Shepherds, working line German Shepherds. They're really overbred. There's a lot of inherent problems with them. I love them. I work with a lot of them. The Doberman, I work with them as well, but I find the same kind of issues. There's health problems within the Doberman. There's temperament issues with the Doberman because of the breeding behind them. Don't trust, the Doberman as much as I do the Malinois. And the Dutch Shepherd and the Malinois are so closely related. It's really the same dog in different skin,
Right.
So they're they're closely related. For me, the qualities in the dog are simply the drive and the brilliance, and health. Mm-hmm. They're just very healthy dogs. Great drive and nice temperament. At least our dogs have a great temperament, and they're very loving dogs. I mean, it's not the belief that most people have that they can be a good family dog. They really can be. It's like anything else. You treat them right and raise them right. That's like having a child. Mm-hmm. So they're wonderful. I mean, I've had golden retrievers, I've had German Shepherds, I've had Dobermans, I've had a beagle. My life changed. It's a different dog, and again, they're not for everybody. And people would say the same thing about a Cane Corso. That that's their breed of choice, and they absolutely fall in love with it. I've got a respect for them all. I just love dogs.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, I train a lot of different kinds, and there's some hard-headed ones out there, and there's a couple that I don't care for so much. I still love them. I just don't care for them that much.
Right. They're just not. Same here. No, I get that. So what was it about the tracking that wasn't as exciting as, say, the agility or the protection side of the sport?
Number one is back-breaking, but it's slow. It's
right.
Really painstakingly slow. You got to have some patience built in, dude, for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it requires a knowledge base, and that's probably all you're going to do. As far as, search and rescue people, that's all they do. They want a dog with a nose on them, good hunt drive, and is a patient dog. So they're looking for a certain temperament. So it's a special dog, that search and rescue dog.
Yeah. What are some qualities that you would look for when you are selecting a dog for a specific sport like dog diving? So say, what would make a good Belgian for a good dog diver?
So again, it's the drive, because, when dog diving, you have an object out there and the dog is going after that. So it's the drive for the toy. Mm-hmm. But I would suggest a smaller dog. You want to excel, be the one to win, right? So right. You want a smaller dog, but you want a good muscle structure in that dog. So I'd look at the parents and look for muscle structure, as well as size, but to build on muscle structure, to kind of like my friends that have that dog goes in the pool all the time, that dog would be swimming all of the time, because it is about the structure of the muscle and how strong they are. But it, definitely the drive. They've got to have the drive, and I would like a smaller dog for the dog diving.
Right.
I think it was really my love for the dogs and helping people. You know, I found through my own experiences trying to get training, you know, that number one, it's easy to get ripped off.
Yeah.
You know, you're never fulfilled, and you never get what you should get. And I feel that most trainers, at least the ones that I went to, except for one, really held back on everything. They just didn't want you to know, right? And a lot of board and trains are that way. They take your dog in. They're not going to give you any information because they want you to repeat business. They want you to bring the dog back. So my focus was really helping people. I really take joy in giving every person I come in contact with as much information about my experiences and how I train dogs as I possibly can. And I will tell you this, I tell every single person that, you know, that I work with, you know, not every dog trainer and handler is the same. We're all different. And so if you ever run into a trainer that tells you they know everything, run, because it's just simply not true. You know, take a little bit from a lot of different people and make them your own. Again, you keep learning all of the time from a lot of different people, and I think Ivan is probably first and foremost one of the best. You know, there's another. I trained under a man named Scott Bakula, and he's a national shoots and trainer, and you know he helped me tremendously, and you know he's just another good resource. He's here in Oklahoma. So for me, my type of training is just a combination of everything I've taken from a lot of people. I don't believe in heavy-handedness. I don't believe in yelling at your dog. I mean, the dog hears you. So that's just my opinion.
What are some activities that some of your puppies have gone on to do?
Oh, it's been a variety, you know, just everything across the board. They've been involved from police work to shoots into agility, AKC confirmation. It's all over the place. You know, we have dogs all over the United States, Canada, and Mexico. You know, large part of them are family dogs, and I would just caution people, if they're interested in getting one, find a qualified breeder that does the testing and know what they're doing and knows which puppy to give to you when it comes time to puppy pick, right? Don't just pick one. You can't just pick one. So if a breeder says, look, out of these 3 puppies, any one of those is going to be a good choice for you and your family, you know? Or a police officer comes along, you know, he's going to use it for that type of work. Say, look, bud, here's your canine officer. This is it. Well, I like the looks of the other one. Don't look at looks. Looks mean nothing at the end of the day. I get so many calls from people that want a dark, everybody wants the dark colored puppy. You should never, ever look at a puppy because of color. You need to be looking at that dog because of temperament. You know, you're going to love that dog no matter what. Don't love it more because it's a dark color. What do you do? Are you just trying to show off? Yeah. Is it a show dog? Is that what you want? I mean, that's my question.
Yeah.
And I shy away from people that want to pick an animal because of color. I mean, we're not AKC confirmation. That's our main focus here. So people should be only interested in choosing a puppy because of temperament. You know, health is an issue or something, not an issue, but a consideration. Health is a consideration. Temperament is the other consideration. Color, the way the dog looks, etc., you're going to fall in love with the dog anyway. So take the advice of the breeder.
Yeah.
Some people are scared that the breeder's just trying to get rid of a dog. It's not true.
No.
A good breeder is trying to give you the right dog.
Yep.
Yeah. Listen to your breeder.
Yeah.
I think your question is more in line of, dog is a dog, right? I have more trouble with people.
Yeah.
I recently had a man come to me, and he's got a Malinois, a couple years old, and he comes to me for training. And he says to me, he says, Frank, I want to do things my way, so just let me tell you, and, I let him tell me, so most of the time, it's not the dog. It is the person that doesn't want to open up and listen to the person that they hired to do a specific job. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying I have all the answers and I'm the perfect trainer, because there's a lot of people that are much better at it than I am. But, I have my knowledge base and I have the way that I do things. And if you hire me, then please listen, and try it my way. That's all I ask. It's really never the dog. Every once in a while you have a dog that's, 6 or 7 years old. It's been a backyard dog. They've never done anything with it. And all of a sudden you want to train this dog. It's just not happening. You can teach an old dog new tricks, but if you got a dog that's just been sitting in the backyard, even for 3 years, you got a problem. Because that dog doesn't want to change. It's a free animal. It's almost feral, right? It does whatever it wants. It's like, recently I had a dog, it's a young dog that came to me, and is about a year old, but they always let this dog, they didn't know to correct the dog or to teach the dog or anything. And this dog, he would go up there and grab the owner by the arm and pull him around, and the guy was like, oh, my dog is biting me, and, dog doesn't mind. Well, when it comes to a dog minding, you have to teach the dog what you expect from the dog. You can't you can't just tell the dog, hey, go do this or don't do this, et cetera, et cetera. Dog don't know what the heck you're talking about, right? You have to communicate with the dog and teach the dog what you expect. So when, I chuckle to myself when people say, hey, my dog won't do what I tell it to do. The dog will do what you want it to do if you teach it.
Right.
And what I find is many handlers say, repeat commands, so many times, and then they use multiple commands within a command, like sit and stay, down and stay, heel and stay, and stay. It drives me crazy. Don't even use the term stay. Why would you even use that? Right. You tell a dog to sit. Why would you tell it to stay?
Right.
So it's really the handlers for me that cause the most anxiety for me, is they just don't listen most of the time. So I get really excited when I get a young person or anybody really that actually will sit there and intensely listen, and then take the technique that you taught them and put it to work. That's all I ask, out of anybody, because that's certainly what I do. When I have somebody teaching me, I shut up and listen, and I take and I work that technique as much as I can. So it's never really the dog unless they're set in their ways. There's a backyard dog, then you created a monster, and I've seen a lot of monsters.
Yeah.
I'm on Victor. I love the Victor dog food. Our female gets Nom Nom now, which is a human grade food, only when she's pregnant and when she's nursing. We feed her that just because she won't eat the Victor dog food or anything else. So she's a pretty picky dog. I love the Victor dog food. We also supplement that with NutriVet. So we like the NutriVet supplements. We do use organ meat, so liver, heart, kidney, that kind of stuff that we get. We add that to their foods because that's really the part that they're really missing. But for the most part, our dogs get Victor dog food. We like it. We trust it. Mm-hmm. Our 5 dogs, our 5 Malinois lives in our house. You can hear them. They're in my office right now. Yeah. Three of them sleep in our bedroom at night on the floor. None of them get on our bed. That's the only place they are not allowed. So two of them, one at the foot of the bed and one on each side of the bed, and then the two males sleep out in the living area. So that's, where they are. And then I have a separate whelping area. And then, we live on 10 acres and we have, sections of yards, that are fenced off. So when we leave, we separate dogs, and when one's in season, we separate them, etc. But for the most part, they live in the house with us. 5 of them we have. So you nailed it right there as an off switch. And to have an off switch, you have to keep the dog physically and mentally exercised, right? So you can't have any dog that is not physically exercised with an off switch. It's like they always have to pee. They got to move, right? So one of the key elements in having an off switch is keeping the dog exercised. But then training the dog to have that off switch, meaning it has a place and it can't get up, and it has the command to get up. So it is in the training and the exercising of the dog. So it is a relationship that you create with the dog. It must be a good relationship, and there's some certain techniques that we employ here that gets you to that point. But it's possible with all of them. People will say that it has no off switch. Well, it has an off switch. You just haven't found where it's at. As far as training world, it's really been Scott Bakula that's been, my mentor and trainer. He's a national champion. He loves the German Shepherd, bless his heart, but but he's a great guy, great trainer. Probably the Cane Corso. I really love them dogs. Nice drivey dogs, big dog. I do love them. Not to say that there's some health issues as far as that dog goes, so I have to be really careful. But I really like the Aussie as well. I think that's a really fantastic dog.
Yeah.
There's been some great ones. I love that little Schnauzer. Little Schnauzer. I love that little dog.
Yeah.
So if I was going to pick one, that'd probably be it. Not really. I appreciate you having me. It's been a good talk, and I just encourage people to get training with their dogs, working with their dogs, love their dogs. Get training from a lot of different people, listen to a lot of different people, and nothing negative. Take nothing negative from anybody. Take that and set it aside because it means nothing. Any negative thoughts or actions, give you 100% negative results. So don't listen to that noise. Stay positive and love your dogs. I mean, it's hard loving dogs because they die on us.
Right.
It's so hard. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. These dogs can be heartbreaking. As much joy as they give us, the people that really want them and love them, it can be heartbreaking. So, and a lot of people don't want to get another dog when they lose one. But you know what? The best thing you could do is to move on and give another one a home and work with that dog. So.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Very well. I appreciate it very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll see you.
Bye.
Out of the ashes we will rise.